Good afternoon, Cedarfield family. It is February 22nd at 3 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in here live. And to those of you that are listening tonight, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to some information about Cedarfield. Today's format is very simply, for about the next 20 minutes, yours truly will go over 4 particular topics. Cedarfield current situation, the vaccine distribution, number 2, number 3, our evolving preparedness plan, and then number 4, any frequently asked questions. The good news, start off with some good news, that 7-day positivity rates that I talked about last week, that we really weren't going to highlight every specific metric. Just one note of that for today, as I looked at that dashboard on the Virginia Gov website, the positivity rates and all those 5 metrics that we utilized over the last 6 months as a benchmark all continue to trend downward. And even Henrico County took a significant decline to 7.6%. So all those metrics are good news that the number of cases and those particular cases that are positive are significantly decreasing. Here at Cedarfield, our dashboard is as follows. In the North household for residents and team members, this dashboard is green in the health center. In our central household in the health center for residents and team members, the dashboard is green. In the south household for residents and team members, the dashboard is green. In assisted living, the 3rd floor here in the main building, the dashboard is green for residents and team members. In the memory support area on the 2nd floor, the dashboard is also green for residents and team members. In independent living, the cottages and the main building for residents, that dashboard is green. And for any other department that employs team members outside of those households that I just listed, the dashboard is green at this point. In terms of the COVID-19 vaccine distribution, we have a smaller sized clinic this week, but the milestone of that date is still significant. Here on February 25th, we will be providing a vaccine for a second dose for 78 people here in the Fellowship Hall from 9 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, from 9 in the morning to noon. Walgreens is coming with 4 pharmacists, and they are just really delighted to be returning. So those 78 people have received notice that this clinic is scheduled for this week and receiving your second dose. So that is an important date, along with the last of our vaccine clinics, which will be March 5th, which is the second date for folks to get their vaccine given the February 12th first-time recipients. If anyone has any questions about the vaccine distribution, please feel free to call down to the administration suite, and we'll answer any and all of your questions just as soon as we can. Our COVID-19 evolving preparedness plan, I want to just give a little bit of highlight to why we've made this decision, and to talk a little bit about that memo that you all received last week. As the Cedarfield management team, the COVID-19 evolving preparedness team, more specifically, was evaluating a lot of different data at our fingertips to make a decision of whether or not we should actually open up visitation. Wanted you all to know that we have considered the following in making that decision last week. First, at the local area, in Henrico County, Chesterfield, Richmond, those 7-day positivity rates were significantly decreasing since the beginning of January. Along with that, the number of cases has also been dropping per the Henrico County epidemiologists. And so we took those first metrics into consideration. Secondly, we took into consideration our own specific dashboard as we were cycling out of 2 particular outbreaks, and those outbreaks were now 14 days free of any COVID-19 positive cases. That not just in healthcare, assisted living, memory support, but also independent living, it gave us great confidence that we were heading in the right direction. Additionally, prior to these outbreaks, we were, what was about almost 6 months, our dashboard was also green. And so we took that under consideration. We took into consideration the last date of our last positive COVID-19 case, which was in the very early parts of February. We also took into consideration the clinics that we have facilitated. So to date, we've had 4 Walgreens clinics, and in that second clinic, we had provided over 97% of the residents with a second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. If you're talking with the researchers with Pfizer, they have a confidence level that 7 days after you receive that second dose that you have a 95% effective rate. If you're talking with the CDC, they believe that you have after 14 days, you have a 95% effective rate. So residents that received their second dose on February 12th, the end of this week, will mark your 14-day period, if you're following CDC guidance, that you really do have that 95% effective rate. So that gave us great confidence. The other thing that gave us great confidence in terms of the Britain and South African variant, and we're listening to Dr. Fauci here this morning, while those 2 variants seem like they're more contagious than the original COVID-19 virus, they're not as deadly as or even more deadly than the first strain. And so that also gave us great confidence that the current vaccine that we have all received here by Pfizer is really able to be effective in protecting us. We might get symptoms, we get mild symptoms, but we should not really have any really severe cases. A couple other things that gave us great confidence. One is that we're going to be testing in the month of March. I know some residents have been questioning why even do this to begin with. The truth of the matter is that even though you may have the vaccine, you could still be a carrier of COVID-19, the virus. And so we wanted to conduct clinics throughout testing clinics, rapid testing clinics. You'll get an answer in 15 minutes. In the month of March to give you a level of confidence. We understand that this is a window of time, a very small window of time given this test, but nonetheless it gives you a sampling of whether or not you in that window that you have COVID-19, which leads us into the last reason of what gives us great confidence. And when I talk about we, there's 8 people a part of this COVID-19 Evolving Preparedness Plan team. The last is you that are listening, the residents and the team members. You give us great confidence. We have been managing this pandemic here at Cedarfield for the last 12 months. It'll be 12 months on March 8th. And we have done just a great job as a community. I'm very proud of everyone that lives and works here about what we have done collectively and individually to protect ourselves and protect each other. And we are not abandoning the public health preventative measures. We're not doing that right now. We're all going to continue to wear masks. I'm actually wearing 2 masks. There's a lot of guidance right now in making sure when you're in a public view that you're wearing 2 masks. I got an N95 mask and I'm wearing a cloth mask. We're not abandoning the public health preventative measures. We're going to continue to wear masks. You see sinks around every entrance that you can wash your hands. A couple weeks ago, we distributed a hand sanitizing spray bottle to every resident at Cedar Field. Hopefully you all are continuing to use that hand sanitizing spray bottle everywhere you go. We are continuing to be 6 foot distant from one another as we are simply walking around the community, and whether or not we are in the fellowship hall or other common space areas. And we're still continuing to practice great infection control, both managing the community, and I know I hear stories all the time of residents and team members of what you are doing inside of your own accommodation, inside of your own home, inside of your own car, what you're doing while you're out and about in the community to protect yourself. All of that has led to giving this COVID-19 Evolving Preparedness Team's confidence level that we are ready to move into a next phase, or what was a pre-Thanksgiving phase, of opening up visitation just a little bit. So hopefully, as everyone has had a chance to read that memo, we're going to open up visitation this week in all levels of care. Those of you that are not familiar with healthcare and assisted living and memory support, what we did back in the middle of last year is we opened up visitation, but we had these visitation vistas where people could centrally come and see a resident who lives in one of these areas. They were behind a plexiglass wall, and in between every visit, we disinfected that space. It wasn't in healthcare, it wasn't in assisted living or memory support per se, but it was in a little tiny location right near the main entrance. So we're going back to that conservative approach. Guests are not going to be able to roam freely around the common space areas, go into resident rooms or into dining rooms. They have to schedule a visit with the neighborhood leader, and that visit takes place in a visitation vista. So that gives us great confidence. And then in independent living, again, visitors that come onto the property, we are expecting visitors to come to the community fully aware and equipped that they have to follow our Cedar Field shared values, which mimics the COVID-19 public health preventative measures, and people protect themselves and abide by our rules, which at this point, if someone wants to visit in independent living, whether it's a cottage or a main apartment, that they visit and they stay inside of the residence accommodation and not congregate in the general area. We're hoping that people limit their visits to 2 people at a time. We're strongly recommending, it's not mandatory, but we're strongly recommending that people who are vaccinated come to visit. We do understand that it's very difficult right now, although things seem to be, different clinics here in the Henrico area and the surrounding areas seem to be a little bit more organized over this last 2 weeks. But we understand it's difficult to get vaccinated, and we are truly blessed to be one of those that are vaccinated. But we do strongly recommend that people are vaccinated before they come to Cedar Field, not mandatory. And so all of that gives us great confidence. And the last thing that gives us a better level of confidence is returning to a protocol that we had at the gatehouse when visitors came last time. When a visitor comes to the gatehouse, the security team will provide them with a temperature, ask them a couple of series of questions, and then will hand the guest a screening form. Hopefully the visitor reads that form, whether they're here 1 time, 5 times, they continue to read that form so that they understand what the rules are of Cedarfield. That visitor is to turn that form to the resident, and that resident is to turn the form back into the concierge desk. And that's all for good contact tracing. The last time we did this, that process came in handy many, many, many times. And so we believe that the residents and team members, as a community, we're going to be able to come together collectively and individually to do what's right, to do the next right thing, and be able to take this step forward and through the end of this week, take the first next steps in visitation. Anybody has any questions about this evolving preparedness plan step? This is one of many steps that we will go through the springtime and the summertime. Please feel free to call down to the administration suite, and we honestly will answer any and all of your questions as soon as we can. Again, we are having testing clinics in March. The purpose of that is to give a confidence level to everyone at Cedarfield and to gauge, given the number of people that we do test, how many people really are a carrier of COVID-19 and asymptomatic, don't otherwise know that they are carrying it, especially those that have the vaccine. We are interested in that data. And I think that's it about our evolving preparedness plan. We do have a couple of questions that have circled in. Number 1 question, visitation hours and time of day. Thursday and Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, all day. You do not need to call, do we need to call Will Stern during these hours? The answer is you do not. If you have a guest coming in to Cedarfield on Thursday at 5 to 8, Friday 5 to 8, or Saturday and Sunday, do you need to call Will Stern to schedule that visit? And the answer is no. The only time you need to call Will is if a guest is coming to pick you up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday outside of these visitation hours. Is testing in March elective or voluntary? The testing is elective. I'm hoping that although it's elective, the study is only as good as many people that participate in it. So we're hoping for a very healthy percentage participation rate with the residents and team members, but it is not mandatory. And last question that has come in, will people who have rapid test in March have to quarantine if they test positive, and if so, for how long? If people who are rapid test in March, if they do test positive and they have received the vaccine, they will not have to quarantine. That is new guidance that has come out from the CDC as of last Friday. If someone decides to rapid test on one of these Wednesdays and is positive, that's a whole other story if you have not been given the vaccine. Then we would ask you to quarantine to protect yourself and to protect those around you. Okay, no other questions have come in. Just 2 other tiny tidbits of information here. Number 1, there is no live chat this Wednesday because we have a resident council meeting on Wednesday led by Carol Marco. She's turning the baton over to Eldon Rucker. And apparently there is a healthy agenda on this Wednesday's list for the resident council. So this is my little commercial break for those of you that already have the resident council meeting on your calendar for Wednesday, great. For those of you that do not, please make plans to listen virtually, hear the resident council meeting on Wednesday. There's a lot of good information that Carol and Mr. Rutger have planned for you. And then the other tidbit of information is those of you that have not picked up your vaccine card yet, the concierge desk here at the main building still has about half of the cards to give out. So please feel free to make your way down to the concierge desk, and the person at the desk will get you your card as soon as you get there. No other questions have come in. 23-minute virtual live chat. Thank you for tuning in today. If we did not address any of your questions that you have and have not been able to text us here in the last 23 minutes, our doors are always open to you. Please feel free to email, to call, or stop down to the administration suite. If I don't see you beforehand, and if not sooner, I'll see you on a live chat on Friday at 3 o'clock. Have a great day, and we'll talk with you soon.